Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and today I'm showing my weakness, confessing my faults. I have gotten some more books, so this is another book haul. And so the first thing I want to do is show some books that a viewer and commenter on my videos has sent me. She's very kind to do that. And the first one she sent me was A History of Rome in 21 Women by Emma Southern. And this apparently is based, the story about how this book got written is that there were some students in a classroom being taught by a professor about Rome. And one of the students approached the teacher and says, "Can you tell us about the women of Rome?" And the professor was rather flippant and said, "I could rather tell you about the dogs of Rome." So let's just say that story incensed Emma Southern. So she wrote about some 21 most famous women in the Roman Empire. I should be reading this month for a Rome event. I probably won't get to it, unfortunately. The second one the commenter sent me is Adrienne by Jennifer Saint. This is based on some mythology. The prince of Athens arrives to vanquish the beast. Oh yes, she's the one that married Perseus, who killed the Minotaur. Again, this will probably be a month or two before I get to it. One of my wife's friends just dropped by with some books. I presume this was a little free library or cheap thrift store. This is Princess Naughty and the Voodoo Cadillac by Fred Willard. This is a thriller mystery. Bill Schiller, drummed out of the post-Cold War CIA, just needs a little scratch to ease him into retirement on some warm, remote island. I think this is a sequel to a book, so I don't know if it's going to be good reading on its own, but I'll eventually find out maybe. And here's a book that should have been in my last book haul, but it got hidden behind some other books on my shelves. This is Bear by Marian Engel. This is a work, I guess, of Canadian literature. It is about a woman who has a sexual relationship with a bear. Kind of bizarre, and I'm kind of interested to see where that goes. And now we're down to some of my thrift book hauls. Pick this up. This is Exile's Return by Malcolm Crawley. It is a literary odyssey of the 20s. And this is just about how all the great writers in the United States moved to Europe in the 20s because they felt that was the place they want to be. So you get to know Fitzgerald, Hart Crane, Ernest Hemingway, John Dos Passos, and of course Crawley himself. And this is just a work of essays or skits, or not skits, sketches about the authors that were living in Paris at that time. I also picked up Old Yeller by Fred Gibson for some reason. I thought Old Yeller was a banned book, and I thought I could read it for my banned book project. But when I looked it up, I don't think Old Yeller ever has been banned. So this may just go on my shelves for some other project later in the day. I guess this is considered a young adult book. A Summons to Memphis by Peter Taylor. Someone's video in the past month or two mentioned this as one of the great books or great American novels. I think it was from The Atlantic that they mentioned this one. I know I have read this book in the 80s. I don't recall one thing about this book, but it's a nice edition of the book. It was really cheap. It was like half price off. So it was like $2, and no one has read this book. This book has been sitting on someone's shelves for decades, so I snagged it. Len Deighton, SSGB. This is Len Deighton's work of alternative history. This is, I believe, where the Nazis won World War II. And of course, they don't say anything about the plot on the back. You just sort of have to know what it's about. So I kind of want to dig into this. I did read his spy thriller Berlin Game quite a few decades ago and really liked it. I tried to read his novel Bomber, about a World War II bomber. I just could not get into it at the time, but maybe this one will be a little bit different. I got this. The House Next Door by Anne Rivers Siddons. This is a famous horror novel or haunted house story from the 1970s. You will be hearing more about this later in the year, or will it be in January? Because I am starting a new project where I'm going to be reading some of the famous horror novels from the 1970s. I'll be doing this with a live stream with a number of co-hosts, and more information about that coming up later. But this is one of Randy Ray's, the literate Texan's, favorite haunted house stories. So I'm looking forward to picking this up. And then yesterday, I was returning some library books and picking up some library books. And as it happens, my library often has a library sale in some carts out in front of their checkout desk, and they're okay. What they do is they put the books out for sale for 2 weeks, and they usually sell paperbacks, like 2 for $5. And if they don't sell after 2 weeks, they put them up for free. Now, these books were on sale yesterday, and oh man, I'm just really thrilled with some of the books I got here. Now, if you can look behind me, NYRB Classics. I have a whole shelf of these. I love this publisher. They do a really good job, and they print all sorts of books. They print translated works. They print English originals. They do horror. They do science fiction. They do mystery. They do everything that's great. They do nonfiction too. But here's what I found. 3 NYRB Classics by Simenon. These are non-Magritte stories, and we have Strangers in the House. So that looks good. The light's not here. Dirty, drunk, unloved, and unloving, Harold Lorset has been a bitter recluse for 18 long years, ever since his wife abandoned him and their newborn child to run off with another man. Once a successful lawyer, Lorset now guzzles Burgundy and buries daughter of the odd things going on in his vast and ever dilapidated mansion. But one night, the sound of a gunshot penetrates the padded walls of Lorset's study, and he is forced to investigate. What he stumbles on is murder. The Widow. The Widow is the story of 2 outcasts and their fatal encounter. One is the widow herself, Tatier. Still young, she had never an easy time of it, but she is not the kind to complain. Tatier lives with her father-in-law on the family farm, putting up with his sexual attentions, working her fingers to the bone, improving the property, and knowing all the time that her late husband's sister is scheming to kick her out and take the house back. Dirty Snow. I actually read this book before. I used to own a copy of this, and I was really a dumbass, and I unhauled it for one reason or another. It says 19-year-old Frank Fiedermeyer lives in a country under occupation. Most people struggle to get by. Frank takes it easy in his mother's whorehouse, which caters to members of the occupying forces. But Frank is restless. He is a pimp, a thug, a petty thief, and as Dirty Snow opens, he has just killed his first man. Last year, I listened to an audiobook version of a different translation that was called The Snow is Dirty, or Snow Was Dirty. And I got more Simenon books. This is just pretty incredible. This is 2 non-Magritte novels. This is The Mahe Circle and The Blue Room. In The Blue Room, for Tony and Andre, there was no rules when they met in the Blue Room at the Hotel des Voyeurs. Their adulterous affair is intoxicating, passionate, and dangerous. Soon it turns into a nightmare from which there is no escape. And this is the Mahe Circle. During his first holiday on the island of Pacarols, butchered pronunciation, Dr. Mahe caught a glimpse of something irresistible. As the memory continues to haunt him, he falls prey to a delusion that may offer an escape from his conventional existence, or may destroy him. Now, last but not least, I picked up 5 Magritte novels: The Shadow Puppet, The Misty Harbor, Night at the Crossroads, The Hanged Man of Saint Follon, and The Carter of La Providence. I won't bother reading the descriptions of the Magrittes because they're just the police investigation stories. But I do want to read some of these. I have only read one Magritte in my life. That is Magritte and the Yellow Dog. I read that a number of years ago, but in my last haul video, I actually picked up the first of the Magritte series. So now I am all set. Now, my only concern is that there were so many Simenon books on sale yesterday. Someone had a big collection. I wonder if there are more. Maybe I should go back to that library today or tomorrow and just check the sale shelves to make sure that I'm not missing out on more, even though I got enough Simenon to last me a long time. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.